Welcome back to MPB math portion of the ACT Bootcamp. I am Miss Killen and I'm here to help you get the best score you can possibly make. So let's go ahead and dive into some more problems. Now we've done questions 1 through 10 and we've looked at the different skills that we need to have to do those portions of the questions. Now let's look at a little bit more different type of content and some different concepts. So here we go. Let's see, our next question is question 11. So we make this a little bigger so we can read it. And it says, an object is launched vertically at 30 meters per second from a 55-meter tall platform. The height, h of t meters, of the object, t seconds after launch, is modeled by h of t equals negative 4.9 t squared plus 30t plus 55. What will the height in meters of the object 3 seconds after launch? Now, we know that h of t is the height. We know that t represents the seconds. Well, it gives us the number of seconds. So what we can do is we can use a calculator skill, which would be a simple skill to use. Let me go ahead and pull that calculator up, and I'm going to clear out our screen. So what I want to do is I want to take and put this formula in here. So I am going to put negative 4.9 parentheses 3 because we're looking at 3 seconds. I'm going to put that in my parentheses and square it. Then I am going to put my plus 30, not t, but I'm going to put the 3 seconds we talked about plus my 55 and press enter. And right there it tells me at 3 seconds I am going to be 100.9 meters. So all this is a calculator skill. So the more that we can use the simple tools, then we'll have more time to use on those little more involved type of questions. So that's good. Let's look at another problem. So obviously my answer is B. So let's go ahead and look at some more. Here's problem 12, and it says the whole number 1 through 30 were each written on a separate piece of paper. Those 30 pieces of papers were put into a jar. One piece of paper will be randomly drawn from the jar. What is the probability that this piece of paper will have a prime number written on it? So the whole numbers 1 through 30 are written on paper. They're all put in a jar, and then we're looking at the probabilities of pulling out a prime number. So let me go ahead and grab my marker so we can look at a couple of things. Obviously, we've got 30 pieces of paper. All right, so what is going to be this probability? So looking at the probability, make sure I spelled that right, probability, yes. All right, so the first thing I need to know, out of all the possible outcomes that could come in this probability, there are 30 outcomes. Now, I want to know what my favorable are. So I have favorable, and then I have total outcomes. Now, I'm looking for prime numbers. Remember, prime numbers are those numbers that only can be multiplied by itself in 1. So we know that 1 is not a prime number. So we also know that 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, 5, 6, no, 7 is, 8's not, 9, no, it's not. Even though it's odd, it's still not prime. 10 is not, 11 is, 12 is not, 13 is, 14's not, 15's not prime, 16 no, 17 is, 18 no, 19 is, 20 no, 21 no, 22 no, 23 is, 24 is not, 25 no, 26 no, 27 no, 28 nope, 29. All right, so here are our prime numbers 1 through 30. So if I have a total outcome of 30, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 favorable, which mean are prime numbers, what is the probability of getting my prime out of the whole 30? It's 10 out of 30. So my obvious answer is what? It's J. Good job, guys. Now remember what prime numbers are, and we remember what composite numbers are. Prime numbers can only be multiplied by 1 in itself. That's the only factors that it has. So let's go ahead and look at our next problem while I erase. So here is problem 13. Let me grab my notes. All right, so here we go. It says, for the angle with measurement A in the right triangle, the sine of A equals 5/13, and the tan of A equals 5/12. What is the value of the cosine of A? Now, when we're doing this problem, we've got to remember that we're only using a right angle. So we've got to remember what we know about these right angles. We have legs and we have a hypotenuse. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my right triangle. So I have this right triangle, and here indicates that it is a right triangle. So let's just go ahead and label this one as A. Now, we also need to remember some of our trigonometry when we're looking at this. So we're looking at sine and tangent and cosine. So you should have learned sine, cosine, and tangent. And I have always taught sine is either SOHCAHTOA or some old horse caught another horse taking oats away. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, Ms. Killen, what are you talking about this opposite and hypotenuse and all this other stuff? Well, we know that the longest side is always going to be my hypotenuse, no matter what. That is always opposite of my right angle. Now, when we're talking about my opposite of the angle or the adjacent of the angle, that depends on what angle you're talking about. Now, obviously, I am talking about this A. So it says the sine of A, which is opposite over hypotenuse, is 5/13. That means the opposite side of this triangle is 5, and the hypotenuse of this triangle is 13. Then it also tells me that the tan of A, which is opposite over adjacent, opposite is 5, and adjacent is 12. That means this side is 12. So now that we have labeled this triangle, I need to know the cosine of A. So what is my cosine of A? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So then, what is my answer? It's A. Good job. So remember, SOHCAHTOA or some old horse called another horse taking oats away, because you know horses like to eat oats. Good job. All right, so let's look at this next problem. All right, let's make it a little bigger so we can read it. There we go. All right, so it says, which of the following values, if any, is the y value of the solution set of the system of equations? Now, there are multiple ways that you can do this. You can solve all of these problems, and you can look at x value and y value of the solution, but we know when we are looking at a solution set for a system of equations, it is when both of these equations intersect or they cross. So you're going to pull up your Desmos calculator. If you don't have a Desmos right offhand, let's go ahead and pull up our internet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in Desmos. And there I have it. It pulls up Desmos. Now, I'm going to pull it over to the screen. You're not really going to be able to see me because I want you to be able to see what Desmos is going to do. So, with Desmos, you do not have to change it into that y equals mx plus b form or that y-intercept form. You can plug it in exactly the way it is. So, I'm going to plug these two equations exactly how they are. So, I have 2x minus y equals 7. That's my first one. Now I'm going to put my second equation in, which is negative 4x plus 2y, plus 2y equals 2. Now, you can either do this on your keyboard of your laptop or whatever, or there's also a keyboard at the bottom that you can use. So, what they want from me is the y value of the solution set. Now, the solution set is where these two lines cross. Well, what do we notice about this? That's right, they do not cross. That means they are parallel lines. That means they never cross. So my only possible answer would be what? There is no such value of y. Why? Because there's no intersection. These never cross. Good job. So let's look at the last one for this lesson. It says, which of the following expressions is equivalent to y plus 7 cubed? All right, sorry, couldn't say that. Is y plus 7 cubed. Now, there are multiple ways for you to do this. You could do your y plus 7 times y plus 7, get that trinomial, and multiply it again. You could use your box method by getting all the answers, this, that, and the other. Or you could also use your Desmos. Ms. Killen, how can I possibly use Desmos on this? Well, we said equivalent means the same, true? Absolutely. So let's go ahead and pull up Desmos again. I'm going to cover me and you'll just be able to see Desmos, which is okay. So let me show you how we do this. Now again, at the bottom of my screen, I do have this keyboard down here. But I'm just going to use my keyboard on my laptop. So I'm going to X these out so I do not have them on my screen. I am going to first put in what they gave me, which is y plus 7 cubed. So let's go ahead and put that. Parenthesis, y plus 7, close parenthesis. Now we're going to need our keyboard for this one. So on my keyboard, I'm going to put this A to the B, and it gives me a place to put that 3. All right. Now, it says what? Try adding x equals. All right, so let's see if I change my y to x and see if it will graph that way. Yes, it will. So, Ms. Killen, what did I just learn? I learned when I have an expression that I want to graph, and it doesn't necessarily go with the usual y equals mx plus b or y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, I can always change back and go to the x and y values because maybe they gave me a t or maybe they gave me a b. So now that I have put it back with the x and y values, I see what I have as my graph. So this is my original. The green is my original. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each one of these answers in to see which one overlaps. All right, so let's see. Remembering we're using x, so I have x squared plus 21x. Nope, that's x cubed. I'm sorry. Ms. Killen put the wrong number. Okay, so then we have 21x. Now it's squared plus 147x plus 343. Oops, I didn't put that last 343, so 343. Huh. Ms. Killen, I only see one thing that's graphed. Well, let's see. If you click right here, it takes the purple off. Whoa. Now I just see the green. But now I just see the purple. That means they're overlapping each other. So that means they are equivalent. So let's try the next one just to make sure that we didn't do an error. So let's do x to the third. Then I have plus 14y. Or excuse me, plus 14x, since we're using x. And then it has plus 343. Well, that's not right. All right, so I'm going to click off this one. And then let's put the next one. So I have x to the third. And then I have plus 14x plus 49. Well, that's nowhere near what I need. So I'm going to click off that color. So let's do the last one. So I have x to the third plus 343. Well, that's nowhere near. So my only option for my correct answer is going to be A. So we need to remember when we're looking at these, we have this Desmos skill. If you're taking this online, you do have the option of using this Desmos. Now, if you're taking it on paper, we can take this y plus 7 and FOIL it out. So we would have y squared plus 7y plus 7y plus 49. So I would have y squared plus 14y plus 49. Then I can use my box method and take x plus 7. Let me get me a new marker because that marker is going out. So I have x plus 7. And then multiply it top to side. And we're using y, excuse me. So I have y cubed plus 14y squared plus 49y. And then I have 7y squared plus 17 times, 14 times 7 would give me 98y. And then 7 times 49 gives me 343. Then all I'm going to do is add diagonally. So I have this one as y to the third. 7 plus 14 is going to be 21y squared. 98 plus 49 is going to give me 147y. And then we have this plus 343. So let me go ahead and write that a little better. So I have y to the third plus 21y squared plus 147y plus 343. So either way that you choose, either the math or you're going to use your Desmos, it's still going to give you the same correct answer. It just depends on your time limitations. Now, Ms. Killen, how do I get to where I am using my time correctly? How do I know that I'm going to have enough time to do all these problems? Well, it's a good thing that you asked that, because with these math concepts and these math questions, the only way that we're going to be able to do this and do this correctly in a very time constraint and time managed way is to what? Practice, 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 guys. No matter what you do, you're going to have to practice. So, as always, I want you to remember that you've got to practice, 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 and I will be back for our next lesson. And while you're waiting on that, remember, practice, 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 and I am Ms. Killen from MPB.